more in demand. It's a simple supply-demand scenario. So the idea of being able to position yourself in a way where you can become more valuable and that you can leverage the skill set that you currently have to look forward, I think that's a big thing, right? Looking forward. I think a lot of people get enamored with their press clippings, and they talk about how many articles they wrote and how many conferences that they spoke at and all this other stuff. At the end of the day, it's really about your skill, and it's really about your ability to solve somebody's problem. And if that's the case, the employer will get something that they need, and you can leverage that skill to get something that you want. You think about that. You think about when you're selecting a position, right? What do you guys think about when you select it? If you're changing jobs, what are things that you think about? But when you're making a decision, if I was going to leave my employer to go to another employer, that's what you're thinking? You're thinking, what's the vendor doing? Or okay. So you're trying to think, like, what can I get out of it that I don't already have? Okay, that's good. Anybody else? Back? So you're looking for commitment. That's commitment. Anybody else?
Go for it. Travel.
Quality of life. Cash.
Cash and education. Those are all.
So you're looking for what's in it for me type of scenario. Brass tacks. Better quality of life, more money. Sir. Self-preservation is our greatest drive. So the best part about these answers is that all these answers are unique to the individual, and they're all right. And I think that the one thing that you can pull from these things is that you have to determine your list of things that are important to you if you are going to switch positions. I think that, and this is going to sound completely crazy coming from somebody who makes their living off people changing positions. The best advice that I give most people is to remain in their job and to make their job work for them. It's crazy, right? I mean, that was just crazy, right? But the idea is this, is that you build internal brand in your job. People know you. They count on you. They already know what they can go to you for. You built relationships. Those types of things have a tremendous amount of value. So in a lot of cases, what happens is people give up too early. What you have to be able to do is figure out how to social engineer your position to get the skills out of it that you want. And after you try, and if you can't do that, at that point in time, you should look elsewhere. But when you look elsewhere, make sure that when you look elsewhere, you're getting something for that risk. You have to get something for that risk. And whatever you get is unique to you. Sometimes you can change jobs for money. Sometimes you can change jobs for quality of life or commute or to learn a new skill or for a different program. But you have to think about that. Before you go out and change, you should have a game plan for doing so. The last thing you want to do is change jobs and all you got was a new golf shirt. You got the same job, but just a different color golf shirt. Let me think about that. Sir. Don't hurt yourself, Mike.
I swear.
All right, cool.
Does your advice to people vary by their age? And what I'm thinking of is, even though it's illegal in the United States, it's much harder to hold down that InfoSec job, IT job, whatever job in a corporate environment, a nice paying corporate environment, as you advance to 50 and 60 and beyond. What I'm getting at there is, I guess the second part of my question, how do you feel about advising on moonlighting, to go build your own job later in case you get displaced permanently as you go to 50, 55, 60 and beyond?
Well, so let me address that, right? So obviously, just from your two questions, I could tell that that's something that's really creeping, right? So let's just say a couple things. It's good. I mean, look, to ignore that ageism, racism, genderism, whatever you want to call it, to ignore that that's something that doesn't exist behind all the EOE statements that are out there, after 15 years of doing that, you can't convince me that it doesn't, right? And I've worked with very small companies. I've worked with very big companies. I've worked with very structured HR functions and very non-existent HR functions, right? I think when it comes down to this is that when you look at any skill, you look at value. And I think that instead of moonlighting to go out and trying to hedge your bet a little bit, I think you'd be better off making yourself so valuable to your organization that they can't afford to get. In other words, they're better than any other existing option. And you can say to somebody, look, I'm not, at this point in my career, I'm not interested in promotions. You can have, many people don't communicate openly with their employers. A lot of managers believe that their employees want the same exact things out of their careers as they want for theirs. So if you're in a situation where you're saying, hey, look, I really like my job and I would just get so darn good at it that when they say who's the best person on the team, you're the guy. So I think that if you could take that effort that you might divert other way and push it down into your job and into your own development, if you do that and your company doesn't like you, you're going to be valuable outside to other employers too. You could go do 1099 contracting because in those situations, they don't care about career development. They just care about skill.
I got a good example of that. I worked with a guy at one point who was one of 3 experts in the world on a particular part of mainframe security. I mean, uber specialized, but I mean, this guy was the best of the best. You can write your own ticket on that one thing. So the question is, what do you want to be known for? We talk a lot about branding. We talk a lot about the importance of being known for something, being known as something specifically. And we talk a lot about that because ultimately what you're known for will, if you can establish a brand, whatever that brand is, best guy on the team for doing X. If X is a valuable thing, you will always have a position. And whether if the position's not there, position will be somewhere else. You were going to say something? Here.
You're saying that you should make yourself valuable to your company, right? So are you talking more at the managerial, director, VP? Because your VP may think, okay, my team, the groups that are under me are great. But if your EVP says, guess what? We're going to outsource the whole lot.
You're shit out of luck. I mean, look, you know what? I mean, organizations get redlined all day long for business situations. But if you're making your skills valuable, like one of the things that you have to think about is that when you're going out and choosing to develop your skills, in addition to my current employer, other companies in the area, if the skill that I'm developing, will they be valuable to the other companies around? So you have to have a 360 view of your marketplace, your current skills, and if you're going to go out and build and make some more investments in yourself, yes, you can get redlined, but if you get redlined, you should know, if something bad comes down, what are my options? And I think that it's our own kind of career contingency plan, right? So it's about planning. You have to think advance. So yes, we can all, think about all those guys. I mean, it's a perfect example. I mean, this is like real life, right? So in New York City, the two places that you really could never, ever pull people out of were Goldman Sachs and Lehman Brothers. And the only places that those guys would go would be to each other because their teams were so great. Lehman Brothers doesn't exist anymore. A lot of those guys didn't know what to do. They wound up going to a lot of different, like I know a lot of guys that are ex-Lehman Brothers guys now that are in Philadelphia, that are in Washington, D.C., that are in all these other places because they got so caught up with the fact that things were going so good internally that they didn't think about what would happen if. If I had to look for a job, where would I look? Where would my skills be valued? And who could pay me what I need to earn? You have to think that way. Because unfortunately, the only thing that we control is our skills. We did this talk earlier today. I don't know if anybody was here or not, but the talk was focused, the title of the talk was Your Career is Your Business. And the concept is that you have to manage your career as it is a business. That's the one thing that you own is your skill development. It's your money maker. You control that. You don't control the ecosystem of the company. You don't control the ethics of the company. You don't control the financial viability of the company. I mean, your company could get bought. It could get acquired. It could go under. Big cost cutting. I mean, if you worked for BP, they lost, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs over there. But when that happens, something like that happens, you have to keep your head up and looking for things to say, what is the long-term viability of my company? What's the sustainability of my company? And what becomes my contingency plan?
In reference to that talk earlier, if you think about your career as a business, you are the product. You are the product you sell to your current employer. Who's your customer? Think about it from a product management perspective. If you were going to build a product, would you build a product that was only valuable to one employer, to one customer? Maybe if the customer was big enough and you trusted them, but probably not. This is where your moonlighting question comes along. Do I go out and have 5 different businesses so that I have 5 different things so that if one of them goes away, I'm okay? No, probably not. Because then you're diffusing your ability to really focus and specialize and become known as one thing.
There's an expression that I like to use. You can only ride one horse with one ass.
Yeah, and really so. But the question and what Lee's saying is, if you think about yourself from a product management perspective, how can you build the next version of yourself such that there are a whole lot of potential customers who are looking for you, or at least you know who the potential customers are. You know that I'm really great. I'm a really great security architect for healthcare. So I would be fantastic in these types of healthcare organizations. Well, so if your particular organization, your current client, redlines the whole department and your job disappears, you have a list of potential prospects that you're going to call on.
I mean, like if you were in healthcare right now, right? I mean, if that was I'd be thinking about electronic medical record security. I'd be thinking about frameworks like HITRUST and HITECH. I would make sure that I was staying on some of the leading edge of those types of developments because at some point in time, my career is going to intersect with the market. And I think that, a lot of security people say, oh, yeah, I'm a business person too. And they throw that around like, oh, yeah, I'm a business person. But being a business person really means understanding the core business of your company at a macro level. Thinking about how the company is positioning themselves for the future, what business initiatives are going to be on their plate, and how does security play an integral role in making those businesses profitable and successful. And you have to think that way. It's more of a mindset because The one constant in all of our careers, no matter if you're just starting out or you're getting towards